year Pro Bowler to me.
Well, he looks like the rookie of the year this year. I'll tell you that. I don't think there's much competition for that. I'll tell you, Colin, he's better than I thought he would be. You know, I saw him a number of times at Oregon, and I thought he was a very talented player, but I didn't ever feel like he just elevated everybody around him. And we had a great chat with him on Saturday before the game. And I said, how much different is it? You know, give me an example of a play at Oregon. And he's like, well, you know, dual right, rip pull. I said, okay, now give me an example of what you're doing with LA. And it was three play calls, about 17 different words. He didn't want me to repeat them all, and I don't think I could right now anyway, because it was 4 times as long as what he was doing at Oregon. But you know what it's done, Colin? It's energized him. He is cerebral. He's bright. He wants that challenge. He's really thriving, you know, from the neck up. He always had the physical skills from the neck down. But from the neck up, I think this league just fits his eye, and he's enjoying it. And frankly, I think, you know, to be in the market they're in, I know they're in LA, but they're the second fiddle. You know, they don't get all the attention. I know there's heat on Anthony Lynn, but it's kind of like Eugene. Like I'm not in the news every day. I'm not in New York. I'm not front page. I'm just going out there and throwing 27 touchdowns. We'll throw 30 this year. Who does he remind me of? A little bit of Matt Ryan. With more velocity. Matt Ryan coming out of college was a better athlete than Matt Ryan 13 years of getting beaten down in this league. But it was cool to watch those two play. They train with the same people in the offseason. Justin looks up to Matt's game, you know, as he continues to refine his fundamentals with more arm strength. To me, that would probably be the comp that comes to mind.
As somebody that's done Seahawk games, and you live for a long time in the Pacific Northwest, has your family and your cousins and your brother and everybody, the Seahawks in my top 10 every week. I keep telling everybody this is the wild card, is that if they're healthy in certain spots, you want no part of them. You know that franchise as well as anybody. You could go 2 and 3 deeps. What are the Seahawks this year, and what are they not?
Well, for a few weeks there, Colin, they were in between, which is the worst place you could be in sports, right? We talk about that a lot with baseball players. They're just in between, man. I'm in the batter's box. I don't know what I'm looking for. When I'm playing in the field, I don't want an in-between hop. I want to just be decisive. The first 5 games, oh my gosh, Russell Wilson's the MVP. We're throwing it all over the place, record-setting pace. And then a little bit of a rough patch, some injuries to his running back, to his right tackle. You know, this league took some things away from him, and all of a sudden 10 turnovers in 4 games. What do? You get back to balance. Let's get back to being and putting Russell in the position he's been in for a decade that's made him the winningest quarterback in the history of this league. And frankly, Colin, the greatest professional athlete in the history of the Seattle market. And when he has a run game to complement him, when there can be complementary football, he doesn't need the elite defense, but he needs that run game to complement his skill set, his movement, his play action pass. And if they get that, you're right, they can beat anybody in this league. If they don't get that, if they lose Carson, if the right tackle shells out, if there's a couple holes, they can't play complementary football, they can lose to anybody in the NFC playoffs as well.
You have the Rams this week against the Jets. Lopsided, should be a blowout. What do you see with, because I keep saying with the Rams, I do worry that Jared Goff gets into these weird turnover cycles. He's got a little Daniel Jones where it's hand size. He doesn't get hurt, but you can jar the ball from him, and he gets into bad habits. Are they a Super Bowl team? What worries you? What do you love about the Rams, who you've done a lot of their games?
I'll tell you what I love that doesn't get talked about a ton because it's difficult to do in a 2-minute hit or if you don't have a lot of time to explain it. But what they do uniquely, Colin, what I love is what they do in their secondary, their pattern reading. With Brandon Staley, he's really the equivalent of Sean McVay defensively. Sean McVay simplified their scheme, continues to do many of the same principles, and puts his players in positions for success. Brandon Staley, the young defensive coordinator, when the two of them met, it was chemistry right from the first glance. When they picked up, Sean picked him up at 5 a.m. in L.A., and they spent 14 hours together. McVay knew it. Staley knew it. And how they get the most out of the back end of their secondary, not just Aaron Donald, Leonard Floyd, and the superstars, but the back end of their defense to pattern read, to route recognize, to jump routes, to play such tight coverage with Jalen Ramsey, a superstar, man. I love it. I would hate playing quarterback against them. Look what they've done to some of the elite quarterbacks this year. Look what they did to Russell. Russell can't beat those guys. He hates facing a defense, right? A defense, I said complimentary earlier. You know what they do? They complement coverage with their front four. And when you do that, it is a pain in the butt, a Lamar Jackson squeezed butt for a quarterback, because I don't like playing against it. I don't have an easy answer. We can't run it. You know, they jump my routes. Everything is tight. Everything's congested. And then 99 is in my face the minute I take a snap. So, yeah, I think they're more dangerous than the Seahawks, frankly. With what they do defensively, I think they're a more dangerous team in the playoffs with what they got.
You know, we were talking about Lamar Jackson, and I said the other day, I said, Phillip Rivers will get Hall of Fame discussion. He was a bad athlete. He led the league in picks twice with a good arm, not great. Won 56% of his games. And I think there are people that would argue he'll at least get a Hall of Fame vote or two. Lamar Jackson's the best athlete I've ever seen playing quarterback. He doesn't throw a lot of picks. He's not a great thrower, but he's won 79%. Are people, and I love Lamar, but I keep defending him every week. And I'm like, folks,
right.
there's the world's changing. The world, high school, college, pro. I think Lamar's a nightmare to face, and I can live with his inability to throw outside the numbers. I can live with it. But in your opinion, having watched film and played the position, is there a moment that you just can't, you have to be able to do that to win big?
You have to play between the tackles, Colin. Do you have to in those third downs? Do you have to when it gets very difficult, right? When you're facing an elite defense that has the personnel to take things away from you? Can you do it, right? Can your bottom, right? You always love to talk ceiling and floor. You do a great job of it, right? His ceiling, as you said, is off the charts. I mean, it still blows your eyes away when you watch him run. Like, you're not supposed to be able to do that in the NFL, be faster than everybody else, regardless of the position. And he does it at quarterback. So it's not the ceiling. The ceiling is there. It's about elevating that floor. It's about when it gets really hard, right? It's really difficult. Can I, that elite pitcher that in the playoffs, in the World Series, I'm not going to get many chances. So when I do, can I capitalize on it? And that's, I think, going to be the biggest key, Colin, because you get to the playoffs, 60 plays. How many against elite teams? How many great swings can I get? Can I get 10 plays where my scheme is so much better than my opponent, where I got somebody and can I hit them when it really matters? That's going to be the key, because in the regular season, you can get 25 of those. But in the postseason, against the best competition, when the heat is on, the speed's cranked up, can I hit that pitch when it really matters? And the only way to answer that, Colin, is to get in the playoffs and do it, which he didn't do a season ago, unfortunately.
He's great at what he does. Brock Heward, Fox Sports, got the Rams Chargers this weekend. One of those teams has got their act together. One hopefully does after the draft. Brock, it's great seeing you.
Always a blast, Colin. You bet.
All right, good stuff. And Joy Taylor with the news.
Now,